Do you have a morning routine?
I don't. Being in commercial real estate and being your own boss, you kind of get to do whatever. I used to be a hardcore coffee drinker, but you get into your 40s, then blood pressure starts being a thing. But usually I like to go outside in my backyard and just kind of soak in the garden a little bit and just try to get as grounded as possible. But very often I will also start the day either with a meditation or with a tapping exercise.
Beautiful, beautiful. What
That's
about
not
an
tap
eat?
dancing.
I get it. But do you have an evening routine?
I do. It is very much just try to be as chill as possible. I think through my next day. I go through my journal and look through what's on the calendar for the next day so that I'm mentally prepared.
Hey, welcome to the show, Leading and Growing Your Real Estate Business. This is Coach James Short, aka Shorty. And this is a show for those within the real estate industry wanting to lead and grow their real estate business. It's a series of interviews that we conduct for those within the industry. So we're finding out what those leaders are within the industry, what makes them tick, what's their story, what are their strategies, and how to become the leaders and the growers within the industry. But also it's an interview series with those outside of the industry. I'm always a big believer of looking at a whole different part of the pie rather than just focusing on one part of the pie. Because what it does, it allows you to have a different perspective, allows you to get snippets or golden nuggets from those outside of the industry that can look in the industry and go, there's a different perspective. And so I encourage you to reach out to the guests. I encourage you to lean into these series to find out how can these pieces of information, experiences, stories help you lead and grow your real estate business. Welcome back to another edition. And this next guest, I'm so excited to interview because he is a mover and shaker, creating space for people to be seen, heard, and known makes Caleb David come alive. His love for the front range community, partnership, and connecting with people has helped Caleb to become one of the leading brokers in Colorado Springs market. He provides reliable expertise in office, medical, retail, industrial, and land markets. As an investor and owner of commercial real estate himself, Caleb brings a unique perspective and solid advice to his local, national, and international clients. Caleb is also the host of the Commercial Real Estate Unfiltered podcast. Just go and check that one out. It's a great listen. Caleb was a part of the 2022 Colorado Governor's Fellowship and former board member of the Better Business Bureau of Southern Colorado. He had the privilege of serving in the 2019 president of the Southern Colorado Commercial Brokers Association and is a part of the Pikes Peak Small Business Advancement Team developed in partnership with the Colorado Springs Chamber and EDC. He also served as on the Retool COS committee and serves as a consultant with the Small Business Development Center in EI Paso County. With almost 20 years in the nonprofit sector, Caleb's desire is to use his platform and resources to bring awareness to social justice issues and to vulnerable and oppressed people on the margins. He was the founder and president of the Table Initiative, a nonprofit organization that was dedicated to building relationships between global communities. He is also the recipient of the Golden Rule Young People's Goodwill Ambassador Award presented by Dr. Clyde Rivers and Ambassador Musi Haliu in 2014 for his work and commitment to the people of Ethiopia. An Epicurean at heart, Caleb loves traveling and sitting down to a delicious meal with family and friends. It's an honor and a privilege to have him on the show. Caleb, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here with you.
Fantastic. So, talk to me about your real estate journey and how you got into it.
Yeah, it was, I fell into it completely by accident. It was a total fluke. I had just recently moved to Colorado, and the job I was working at the time, I still had the nonprofit, but it just something wasn't quite, I was like, something needs to change, right? And coming from the nonprofit world, especially in social justice, you tend to get pretty burned out. You deal with some pretty heavy stuff all day, every day. And you see it firsthand, from sitting on the border of the Syrian and Jordanian border with Syrian refugees that have been displaced to, kids who have been trafficked and just a myriad of injustices in the world. And so, a friend of mine came to me and said, "Have you ever thought about real estate?" And I was just like, I'm like, just like everybody else does, right? I'm going to be a real estate investor. Uh, so it was with a commercial real estate firm, a small boutique firm in Colorado Springs, and they were looking for a part-time assistant and someone to possibly get into brokerage. So they said, try it out for 90 days. If you like it, take your test. If you don't, no harm, no foul. And so I almost took another job in the nonprofit sector that felt a little bit more like a safe bet. But I was 35 at the time, and I thought, if I don't do it right now, when am I going to do it? And so I jumped in, and after the 90 days, I mean, I just got ordered my books, literally crammed for probably close to 8 hours a day, and took my test in less than a month, and got licensed and got going.
Wow. And so looking at from the nonprofit sector and looking at that, a lot of that work that you've done over the years, how have you brought a lot of those, I guess, traits in dealing with people and understanding people's journey into the real estate space?
Yeah, I actually get that question quite a lot, and
Mm,
my answer is pretty simple. It takes listening, it takes learning, and I think one of the traits I take is you learn when you are in this space how to relate to people with dignity and respect. And I think those are the traits I think that I've really brought over. And I think those are traits that translate into any and all parts of life.
yeah, that's beautiful. That's so true. So true. And now being in the real estate game for a little while, what have you seen shifts and change in the industry that you've been working in over the last period?
Yeah, what we're starting to see is some change in regards to the people coming into brokerage,
Okay.
at least in our market. When I started, the market was still really slow, it was still recovering from 2008. And so I had a taste in the first year and a half, 2 years of knowing what it's like to just not have a whole lot. And so after the first year of being in the business, the Southern Colorado Brokers Association put out votes throughout the entire community. I was voted Rookie of the Year that particular year, and that's when the phone started to ring. The title companies wanted to talk, the lenders wanted to talk. But as far as shifts go, I think we've just seen from pretty slow when I started to the heat of everything was a 2022 post COVID. I mean, COVID kind of put a pause on things for a minute, but then things just started going crazy. And the Colorado Springs market has been very hot for a very long time. And about 3 years, about 3 years ago, I just had this feeling, this gut feeling like, man, like this is a little bit out of control. I was making great money. I was doing, close to 100 deals a year, and
Wow.
it was just to that point where I knew something was coming. And then in 2022, no, really, it was 2023, is actually when all, interest rates started going up and inventory started getting low. Everybody started looking to downsize or right size. And so it became very difficult to find properties because everybody was looking for the same thing.
Yeah.
And so that demand, we saw an increase in prices and, it became much more of a landlord market. So we're starting to see now, things shift a little bit in the sense that, you know, things are starting to be priced a little bit more reasonable because they're forced to, because, people don't want to do a 7%
Yeah.
loan, interest rate. And so, I think everybody right now is shifting, trying to figure out where do we fit? How do I find the right thing for my business? And that's what we're here to do is help people navigate the market and try to find what's right for them.
Yeah, fantastic. And what about the client profile? How has that changed over the last number of years? Have you seen a flurry or a change in certain profile in people coming into the market? Hey guys, just a little side note here. How's it going? Are you on track this year? I know that sometimes this part of the year we can feel like we're in a bit of a grind, a bit of in the trenches. Are you on track from the original plans that you set out for the rest of this year? What I've realized is that between with this time of year, we get so distracted and we've got trying to chase so many shiny balls and go down so many rabbit holes. And that's why I created a program called the 90. It's a framework that actually allows you to achieve more in 90 days than ever before. Some of the feedback that we've got from some of the people that have used the process, the 90, is that they've achieved more in 90 days than the whole previous year. So if you'd like to have the tools, have the techniques, have the framework on the 90 so you and your team can achieve more in 90 days than ever before. What it does, it impacts you of how to get clear, what you need to do, and who you need to be to show up in order to achieve the things you want to achieve over the next 90 days. Simply head over to jamesshort.com.au, click on join the waitlist, fill in your details, and one of the team members will be in touch and take you through the 90 framework. On with the show.
Yeah, I would say we used to have a lot more of the large companies, that are coming to relocate, to do different things, to build new manufacturing, but we have a shortage of industrial land and industrial properties in our market. And so, we're still seeing some of those people coming around, but especially with the work I do with the Small Business Development Corporation, I'm finding been a lot of people that are ready to kind of fulfill their dream of being a business owner. And
Wow.
so a lot of the people that we work with are very small businesses, either looking to expand or looking to come to market for the first time.
Yeah, fantastic. And now that you've got like a real finger on the pulse with that business community, what are you noticing in the business world? Are they looking to expand? Are they looking to downsize? Are they looking to sell? What's the usual flavor that you're noticing over the last couple of years?
Yeah, I would say a little bit of all of that. The sales side, I would say, is lagging just a little bit because a
Yep.
lot of owners of buildings think that their
Yes.
buildings are worth more than they actually are. We are not in the 2022 market anymore.
Yep.
So we have to adjust, we have to pivot. And, the majority of the business that I get is referral,
Right.
so existing clients, someone that I helped with a small space 6 years ago. Now they're coming back and they're like, all right, we want a second location, or we need to expand, or we need to purchase. But inventory is low in the sale on the sales side. So it's somewhat of a challenge because we're
Yeah.
kind of in a bit of a weird in-between phase.
Got it. Got it. And what's on the horizon for you? What does the next 6 to 12 months look like for you and your operation and the business?
Yeah, so actually, you are the first to hear this. We actually just today signed on with Keller Williams Premiere in Colorado Springs for me to join them as their commercial director and
Wow.
bring the whole company over. And so we're still a small team.
Congrats.
Thank you. So we're really excited. We've been courted by a lot of large companies in the past, and its culture is really important to me and our priorities and how we treat people. And so after about a month of research and going back and forth, we pulled the trigger today and are going live with Keller Williams. We get to keep our branding, we get to keep our culture. So that's going to be a huge part of the next 6 months. And what we're going to do is integrate into their tech, their reach that they have, so that we can expand. My dream has been to build a solid team of people, so I'm not in production 24/7. So we are on the lookout for great agents that are looking to get mentored, to really help the business community here in not just Colorado Springs, but up and down the Front Range.
That's beautiful. That's a great opportunity. Big congratulations to
Thank you.
yourself and the team. Fantastic. So, Caleb, on the show, we have our 60-second quiz to find out more about our guests. Are you willing to play?
Let's play.
All right, let's go. Favorite food?
Oh, Indian.
Love it. Favorite movie?
Oh gosh. Favorite movie. Wow. Man, that's tough. I would say a classic, and this is silly. It's Dumb and Dumber.
That's so good.
I use lines for that movie every day of my life.
What's your
For better
favorite
or for worse.
Yeah, yeah, totally right. Totally. What's your favorite holiday destination?
Oh, holiday destination. I would say I've been a lot of places. Um, Definitely Croatia is on my list. I have not made it there yet. But I would probably have to say Italy.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Do you have a biggest regret?
Hmm. Yeah. I would say my biggest regret is minimizing myself for way too long and for
Mm,
not stepping into my truth and my power sooner.
beautiful. Beautiful. Do you have a morning routine?
I don't, being in commercial real estate and being your own boss, you kind of get to do whatever. I used to be a hardcore coffee drinker, but you get into your 40s, then blood pressure starts being a thing, but usually I like to go outside in my backyard and just kind of soak in the garden a little bit and just try to get as grounded as possible. But very often I will also start the day either with a meditation or with a tapping exercise.
Beautiful, beautiful. What
That's
about
not
an
tap
eat?
dancing.
I know, I get it. But do you have an evening routine?
I do. It is very much just try to be as chill as possible. I think through my next day. I go through my journal and look through what's on the calendar for the next day so that I'm mentally prepared. Um, Watch some TV, have a glass of wine, and sometimes I like to try to read a little bit before going to bed. But that's something I need to get a little bit better at. As much as I love reading, the TV can get you. Those shows can get you hooked.
Totally, totally. If you could choose five inspirational people to have dinner with, they could be dead or
Mm,
alive, who would they be?
yeah. Great question. I would say Maya Angelou.
Mhm.
I would love to go on a double date with Barack and Michelle Obama.
Mhm.
So I don't know if that counts as one or two. Um, I would also say probably my grandfather on my dad's side because I didn't get to know him well enough. So I would like to spend some time with him and understand a little bit more about my family history. Um, Gosh, I would probably say Richard Branson would be up there too.
Great.
Um, and then also Glennon Doyle.
Nice. Okay. There we go. Fantastic. If you were president for the day, what's one thing that you would change?
Oh, I would make kindness. Is it how long of a day is it? Uh, I mean, I would focus on making sure the people that are on the margins are prioritized.
Yeah, great. And what's your best piece of advice?
Hmm. I would say the best piece of advice would be get to know who you are, get to understand who you are at a core, understand that you are inherently good and your starting place is a place of goodness. And and I would just say as you go through a healing process or therapy and all the different tools that we have available to us nowadays, to start to learn to trust your gut. And I
Mm,
think we second guess ourselves all the time, and we're listening to other voices that we aren't still enough to to be quiet and listen to ourselves. And so I would say those would be a couple of things that I think would be great advice.
fantastic. Great advice there. So, how can the audience follow your journey, listen to the podcast, and get in contact with you?
Yeah, so the podcast I just started a few months ago. Going to be recording my 20th episode next tomorrow, so it's still kind of early. I'm still getting the hang of it, but they can follow me on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Follow me on Instagram, and it's just at Caleb David. David Commercial is also available there. So we're really trying to beef up and educate people and empower local businesses or people thinking about going into business. They can go to our website, which is davidcommercial.com. Reach out to us, say hello. We want to talk to you. If you have questions, we are here to help with that at no cost and give you at least point you in the right direction. And one thing I also like to throw out there too is I recently just joined the board of a great organization called Crazy Love Africa. And they help and empower women and children in Uganda, women that are living with HIV, especially in this day and time with the cuts that USAID to USAID. It's a crisis. These 80% of the meds that go to people around the world living with HIV was coming through USAID. And
Yeah.
so I encourage people to check out Crazy Love Africa, find a way to get involved. They've got an amazing fair trade, arts and crafts market, some great things that are happening there in Uganda. So I find that in times where things are stressful, we've got to remember to give.
Yeah.
And so that's the way I'm doing it right now.
Fantastic. Caleb, you're doing an amazing job. You're doing amazing work, not just in the commercial real estate space, but all around humanity and all around the globe. So I really appreciate what you're doing, your message and everything that you're contributing. So thank you for joining us on the show today.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. It was a joy.